Imagine you walk past a homeless person. They tell you, I'm struggling. I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight. I can't find stable work. I'm stressed every day. I stink. And then your response is, have you tried buying a house? Of course, that sounds ridiculous because buying a house isn't the problem. The conditions preventing them from buying a house are the problem. Yet traders do this to themselves every day. Imagine again that homeless person. Let's say they suddenly become incredibly motivated, extremely motivated, the most motivated person you've ever met. What happens? Do they instantly own a house? No, because motivation doesn't remove the conditions. Maybe they still lack income, stability, safety, support, resources. You see, the environment hasn't changed for them. The system hasn't changed for them. The conditions haven't changed. So, how can the outcome change? It doesn't. Okay, so now replace homelessness with trading discipline. Tell yourself, I need to stop revenge trading, or you need to stop moving stops, or you need to stop overtrading, yada, yada, yada. Then you try even harder for about 3 days, maybe a week, then you do it again. Not because you're weak, because the conditions that create the behavior are still there. So the cycle repeats on and on and on and on and on. The classic boom and bust cycle that you are probably facing right now, that many traders around the world are facing right now. The biggest ideas from biology is this. So behavior is heavily influenced by conditions, not character, conditions. Okay, so humans don't behave in a vacuum. Every behavior has causes. Now, some obviously are more obvious, some are more hidden. So imagine you've been staring at the charts for 3 hours. Nothing has happened yet, no setups, no entries, no trades. You tell yourself you're being patient, but something is changing underneath the surface. Boredom starts building, frustration starts building, and the urge to do something starts building, and the pressure keeps building. And now the brain begins searching for stimulation. Eventually, a mediocre setup appears, not one of your A plus setups, okay, not even one of your B plus setups, maybe a C, maybe not even that, okay. The point is, it looks amazing. You take it, it loses. Then you immediately take another trade, then another, and now at the end of the day, you say, I need more discipline. Maybe, but maybe the real problem started 3 hours earlier. The overtrading wasn't created in that moment. It was created by the environment you sat in all morning. Or maybe in the afternoon, depending on what time zone you are operating. But the point is, you started well, right? You did your meditation or pre-trading ritual, whatever. You did your analysis. You're now waiting. All right? You're waiting, but then you say to yourself, "Let me quickly open up X, also known as Twitter." You go through some reels on Instagram or TikTok. Maybe you even play a few games of chess. The point is, your focus has disappeared. All right? You're distracted. You're impatient. You become more reactive this way. So you're now operating in a suboptimal environment for trading. And one of my favorite analogies to use is to consider trading behavior as a plant. Okay, so outside the leaves, they essentially represent things like exiting early, over trading, revenge trading, etc., etc. So the plant is the visible behavior. But what about the hidden behaviors? See, I like to focus on the greenhouse. So the greenhouse involves your sleep, your stress levels, your environment, your financial situation, expectations you may have, your overall dopamine levels, fatigue, mood, and the routine you have set yourself for that particular trading day. So if we improve the greenhouse, get those better conditions, and over time, we will start developing healthier and better behavioral patterns. Okay, so most traders keep trimming the leaves. All right, forget about the leaves. Focus on your greenhouse, focus on your behavior. So the reason this matters is because of what happens next. So when traders believe discipline is the problem, they start to blame themselves. And now every mistake becomes, oh, I'm so weak. I'm rubbish at this. I'm never going to make it. I'm broken. I have no self control, and on and on and on. And this creates a vicious cycle of shame. And shame makes your performance worse. More pressure, more fear, more mistakes, and worse results.
So instead of asking, why am I so undisciplined? You can ask maybe, what conditions made this behavior more likely? You notice the difference? Okay, so one question attacks identity, the other investigates causes. All right. On the other side, you have shame. On the positive side, you have curiosity. Okay, we need that curiosity within ourselves, that patient, compassionate curiosity within ourselves to reach the root cause of our negative trading behaviors. And a direct example is that you break a rule. So what happens? You may ask yourself, why am I such an idiot? But instead of that, we can ask what conditions existed before you broke that rule. You know, maybe you got poor sleep. Maybe you were doom scrolling late at night, or perhaps you had to stay up really late at night. Maybe you had to go to the hospital to support a loved one, whatever it may be, right? Poor sleep is a huge, huge factor that determines your performance the next trading day. Financial pressure, another big one. You know, a lot of people are trading out of the urgent need to make money. Now, that puts tremendous pressure on your performance. Each trade is a must win trade. You're looking for that next big trade. You're looking to make that paycheck that may cover your rent, your bills, whatever. Okay, so this creates unnecessary pressure on your performance. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be negative. Boredom. A lot of people are very, very uncomfortable just doing nothing. Okay, waiting for that setup. You know, sometimes they may feel like they need to be doing something, like being in a trade, to feel like they've accomplished something for that day, when it can actually be the opposite. All right, waiting for that A plus setup takes a lot of discipline. And of course, your recent losses will have a huge impact in your decision making ability, affecting your performance too. Okay, so now we're actually learning something, guys. All right, we're looking at the root causes rather than just labeling ourselves as idiots, as incompetent, as failures, whatever it may be. All right, we've got to get out of that thinking. We've got to look at the conditions that existed before each trade occurred. Okay, so to summarize, most traders are basically trying to force better behavior. But the goal isn't to force anything, all right? It's not to force anything at all. A lot of people are trying to force discipline, trying to will their way into it, you know, power through it, forcing habits, suppressing your emotions, all right? And then hoping it will all stick and work out in the long run, all right? This is very exhausting, hard, and quite frankly, unsustainable. It's all backwards. The goal should be to build the conditions, all right, where disciplined behavior becomes so much easier, all right? So, like we mentioned before, your sleep, your mental bandwidth, whether or not you have any financial pressures, so your emotional health, routine and structure, energy and recovery, and clear goals and expectations. So, disciplined behavior naturally begins to flow. Because telling a struggling trader to just be more disciplined, again, is a bit like telling a homeless person to just buy a house. Okay, it's ridiculous. You're focusing on the outcome while ignoring the conditions that create it. And if behavior is the product of conditions, then improving your trading starts by improving the environment that produces the optimal trader that gets the results that you are currently after. Okay, so stop asking, how do I become more disciplined? And you begin to start asking, what conditions make disciplined behavior inevitable? Okay, and that changes everything. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.